You're welcome back. You're still watching Business Incorporated on Channels Television. Well, after about a year of delay, Tanzania plans to begin the construction of $30 billion liquefied natural gas project in 2023. Plans for an LNG plant on Tanzania's southern coast and a pipeline connecting offshore fields have been under consideration since 2014, with the projection to be complete in 5 years. Well, now that plans are back on track, what should we expect? Matt Kindiga, the Associate Practice Lead of Sub-Saharan Africa at Fronterview, explains some of this to us. Hello, Matt. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the program today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, how transformative will this liquefied natural gas project be for Tanzania's economic prospects?
So assuming that the project goes ahead and that it is on time, construction begins in 2023. We are talking about very significant impacts for the country's economic prospects. Once construction commences, we would see billions of dollars of investment into the economy each year. We've seen a similar phenomenon occur in Mozambique, where foreign direct investment has really skyrocketed. And once this LNG facility starts running, the project would generate a significant boost in exports, as well as government revenues as well. So the government would benefit from revenues associated with the LNG project. So you would have associated improvements in infrastructure investment, for example. So, we would potentially see double-digit growth in Tanzania once the project commences, followed by a sustained increase in economic growth later on.
All right, so $30 billion, that's a huge amount of money. What's the funding plan?
So the details are yet to be revealed. And as we know, the government is still in active negotiations, or it has resumed active negotiations with companies supposedly including Equinor and Shell, and Exxon and Total, the French energy company Total, are likely to also be involved. Probably going to be an agreement between these energy companies in terms of raising capital themselves. As we know, energy companies have been very enthusiastic about raising funding for these projects because they know that there is significant potential in terms of the gas reserves off the coast of Mozambique and Tanzania. But we certainly would say the Tanzanian government is not in a very strong position to fund the projects because of the size of these, the investments needed. So they'll probably make quite a limited contribution. In our view, it will be probably a consortium of energy companies that will raise the financing directly.
And to what extent does this announcement reflect a change in the way the government, under the current president, plan to manage the economy?
It's the fact that the announcement of this new project and the resumption of negotiations with energy companies has come so quickly after Ms. Hassan has become president really tells us a lot about her economic policy priorities. One of the reasons we saw LNG companies sort of re-engage with this process is because it was one of the first things the president did in terms of ordering the resumption of these negotiations. We must note that as recently as January, under the previous president, Mr. Magufuli, Equinor, one of the big energy companies that was interested in developing the gas facilities in Tanzania, had to take an impairment of nearly $1 billion because they had failed to make progress in negotiations with the Tanzanian government. So this really does represent a positive step forward. It also suggests that she is prioritizing big projects that will make a material difference to the economy's prospects. Also, that she is taking a much more accommodative approach when it comes to foreign investors. She's sending a message that she's serious about attracting foreign direct investment. So generally, it is actually a very positive sign that Tanzania wants to attract investors to the market.
And since the LNG project will take several years to materialize, how is the Tanzania's economy expected to perform over the coming year?
Well, yes, as you said, it's going to take a while before we see the direct benefits of this LNG project. At the earliest, construction will start in 2023 or 2024, with production only beginning towards the end of this decade. So, how are things over the next couple of years? Generally, Tanzania's economy is expected to perform quite well, actually, by African standards even before this project gets off the ground. And this is because we are seeing relatively healthy growth in the agriculture sector domestically, favorable weather conditions. But we're also seeing quite significant increases in investment by the government, as well as more favorable conditions for consumers. But we would say there are some risks on the horizon because the new president is taking COVID-19 a bit more seriously. We could see some more stricter commercial restrictions in place that could actually reduce some, consumer spending, some business activity over the short term. So overall, a positive story, but some risks on the horizon.
Yeah, talking about the realities of our time. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for joining us this afternoon and bringing us up to date on happenings in Tanzania. Well, moving on now, in Q1 2021, the price index of commodities exported by Central African Economic and Monetary Community rose by 19.4% against 4.3% in the fourth quarter of 2020. According to the Bank of Central African States, quarter-to-quarter growth was notably spurred by energy products that grew by 35.6% during the period under review against 7.3% a quarter earlier. Over the period, oil prices rose by 35.9%, while the price of natural gas shot up by 33.7%. And in Kenya, salaries in the country's private sector showed a month-on-month improvement for the first time in 7 months as firms sought to motivate workers after the deadly third wave of coronavirus infections eased. A majority of employers in key sectors of the economy, such as agriculture, manufacturing, construction, and services, indicated their increased pay in May. This signals renewed optimism in economic recovery after authorities eased travel restriction and partial trade shutdowns imposed mid-March in the Nairobi metropolis and Nakuru at the start of May. And in Egypt, the cornerstone for the first petrochemical complex at the Suez Canal Economic Zone in Egypt has been laid. The project is backed by investment totaling $7.5 billion. The Prime Minister says the zone was one of Egypt's most important national projects and part of the government's strategy to focus on investment that would localize technology, provide job opportunities, and help raise the standard of the country's seaport to match global standards. The industrial complex is to begin operations in the first half of 2024. The first industrial complex for petroleum and chemical materials in the economic zone will produce a range of products, including polythene, polyester, bunker fuel, and other materials. And that's it for Business Incorporated today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ini John Mekwa.